Hello again YouTube, welcome back to the Pump Lab. Today I want to do a video breaking down the differences between the pre-workout and Origin pre-workout that are both in the MyProtein range. So the first ingredient I'm going to start off with is beta-alanine. In the pre-workout there's 2 grams of beta-alanine, and in the Origin pre-workout there's 3.5 grams of beta-alanine, so the Origin wins there. Plus the recommended dose is 3.2 grams. So the Origin is above that. However, the pre-workout is just 2 grams is kind of pointless. Also, you need to build up this in your system. So you should be taking it every day. So what's this going to do? This is going to buffer H+ ions, lactic acids, and help you push for a few extra reps in the gym. The next ingredient I want to go over is caffeine. So in the pre-workout there is 200 milligrams of caffeine. However, in the Origin pre-workout there's 300 milligrams of caffeine. So the Origin is going to hit you harder, more of the side effects but more of the energy. However, I find personally when I have too much caffeine I can't focus my mentality as well. So personally I would prefer 200 milligrams. Very common dose is 200. The third ingredient I want to go over is l-citrulline. So in the pre-workout there is 4 grams of l-citrulline. This is below the recommended dose again of 6 to 8 grams. The Origin pre-workout, however, has 8 grams of l-citrulline malate. So the malate is just to really help it mix with water better. Usually this is in a 2-to-1 ratio. So for every 2 grams of citrulline, you'll have 1 gram of malate. The next ingredient is l-theanine, which Origin pre-workout has, but the pre-workout doesn't. So this is 250 milligrams in the Origin pre-workout, which is great dosing. Usually you want about 100 to 200 milligrams, so this goes over that. Usually you want about a 2-to-1 caffeine to theanine ratio. So with 300 milligrams you want about 150 milligrams of L-theanine, and they've gone above that. So well done. This is just going to help smooth out that caffeine and, make the effects more tolerable. The next ingredient that Origin has that the pre-workout doesn't is L-arginine. So this ingredient is similar to L-citrulline, but it's not as efficacious or potent because it takes a slightly worse mechanism through the body. Once again, it's just going to give you pumps in the gym, stuff like that. This is dosed at 4 grams, which is slightly underdosed. You want about 6 grams of this. But considering they've already got citrulline malate in there, I'm sure they can get away with that. That is the final ingredient of Origin pre-workout. So now I'm moving on to exclusively the pre-workout. The first ingredient the pre-workout has that Origin doesn't is L-tyrosine at 750 milligrams. This is basically just similar to caffeine but without any of the side effects, and it's way softer, smoother in your system. 750 milligrams is a decent dose, but once again it's just under the recommended dose of 1 gram. So there's a concurrent theme here where they underdose stuff in the pre-workout. The next ingredient in the pre-workout is cytocholine. So this is good for cognitive benefits, and it's usually paired up with caffeine or tyrosine, so they paired it up with that. The amount in this is 250 milligrams, which is just on the lower recommended dose. You want about 250 to 500 milligrams of this ingredient. The pre-workout also has a vitamin stack, Personally, I think you should just eat your vitamins like a normal human being. So I'm not going to go over these because they're not performance-based ingredients. So based on the differences between the ingredients, I would say that the pre-workout is more of a beginner pre-workout. If you're lighter, the ingredients should still work just fine for you. Probably about 60 kilograms or less. But you know, the only real efficacious one there is going to be caffeine, 200 milligrams. That's why I think this is more of a beginner pre-workout. However, the Origin pre-workout, all of the ingredients are at efficacious doses. All of the ingredients are solid ingredients. However, the pre-workout also has 3 grams of creatine in it, which is brilliant and is dosed okay, I guess. I personally take 5 grams of creatine, and I know it's a readily available supplement to buy it anyway, so you might just want to buy it separately and mix it in with the Origin. That's what I would do personally. I also think that the 300 milligrams in the Origin pre-workout makes this slightly more of an advanced, you know, like if you're used to pre-workout, then you should be taking this one. I still wouldn't take it every day though. This is more of an intermittent pre-workout. So, you know, use your usual one, and then when you fancy a little extra boost or you're feeling a bit fatigued, more fatigued than usual, try the 300 milligrams in the Origin pre-workout. As well, the cost per tub. So the Origin pre-workout is £29 for 30 scoops, which is a decent price, coming just under £1 per scoop. However, the pre-workout is £32.50 per scoop, so that's just over £1. And personally, I would say that it is worth it, but because a lot of the ingredients are underdosed, you're just better off going with the Origin pre-workout. Not only is it cheaper, all of the ingredients are dosed very well, so I would go with this one if you're willing to take 300 milligrams of caffeine per scoop in order to achieve those saturation levels for the ingredients that they use. That is it for today, guys. Take care, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.